talks about, like on page 56 and 281, the psychological operations, how they're supposed to identify the dissidents and patriots and things like that. It actually talks about U.S. citizens, and it does use the term re-education camp. But you actually had to have a top secret to get it.
If you guys want to protect yourself against an EMP or a CME, when we talk about natural disasters, a lot of people leave this out. If you're newer to the show, EMP Shield actually has worked with DoD, the Homeland Security, and is now part of the DEMSO team, actually helping to protect the Texas grid. So again, you can go to marfugalnews.com/EMP. A commission of that goes to help the show. And it looks like we have Roy up first. Roy, you are live on Marfugal TV. Thank you so much.
Hey, brother man, good to talk to you again, sir. And I am also here with my son, Roy Jr., who I affectionately call Boo.
Well, Roy and Roy Jr., you guys haven't called in ever before together. I know you guys have called separate, and you guys sound alike, so cool to have you both. So what did you want to talk about tonight, Roy?
Well, I want to talk about the DoD Army document FM 3-39.40, the internment and resettlement operations for the Army. And there's a story that goes behind this. My son, Samuel, who is my second oldest, he was in a sniper, what do they call that, reconnaissance platoon over in Afghanistan. And I had heard about this document, so when he called me, just to check in, because we were obviously worried about him, and I said, can you look this up on the Army servers and actually pull it off the servers? Well, you had to be a captain or higher, and he had a buddy that, after 6 months of sitting on the front lines up on a mountain with, agreed to download it. And he's like, Sam, this is pretty random. Why would you want this? And he said, because it actually talks about U.S. citizens, and it does use the term re-education camp. So I just want to go over a few high points of this.
So are we not supposed to have this, though?
Well, it's been leaked now, but you actually had to have a top secret back then to get it. And my son only had a secret clearance. So he had to have this officer pull it off the Army server for him. And I can actually give you guys a copy of the one that came off the Army server. So the document is... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. So can you,
okay.
Is there a page that
Yeah, let me give you just a quick rundown. It's 325 pages long. It's signed by Joyce Morrow, admin assistant to the Secretary of the Army. Now, page 38 clearly states this is for U.S. citizens, and page 146 talks about identification by Social Security numbers, fingerprints, and photos. The document it has three main components: the DoD, FEMA, and United Nations. And it talks about, like on page 56 and 281, the psychological operations, how they're supposed to identify the dissidents and the patriots and things like that. And page 238 talks about using deadly force on escape attempts. I'm sorry, that's 238. 244 calls for snipers to scan the crowd and terminate agitators. 260 talks about, this is the section that has the interrogation tribunals and mortuary facilities in it. There's multiple barbed wires, 24 guard towers. So
Whoa.
It's clearly not for just, and it states it's a re-education camp. So it's not just like they say, a friendly place to go and get something to eat. This is serious. And since this document came out in 2010 under the Obama administration, and since then the Army has been advertising for internment and resettlement operators. And it predates the NDAA of 2012, which is, you can be arrested and held without charge or without trial indefinitely. Have you ever heard of this before?
Well, so I've never seen
Mark?
this actual document. No. I've basically heard exactly what you're saying, but just never had documentation to it.
Yeah. So, and the copy I have,
it says that
came right off the Army
destroy.
servers.
I just really
Hello?
I just really want to say this is kind of scary.
It is. It has been leaked out on the internet. So,
that doesn't mean it's.
I gave.
But yeah, it says.
Right. Yeah.
Says
No, this is an actual. But this is the place where our country has actually come to, Adam. And like we discussed last time, something's coming. Something very serious. And you do an awesome job. God has obviously put you in that place to warn people. And I just don't think people. This should be a wake up call to some of the Fugel fam to show them what a precarious place this nation really is at right now. My son Boo wanted to talk about something too. That go ahead.
Hey, so I just wanted to bring up. I heard a deal about how roundabouts now, if they bring in the UN, will be at checkpoints. And if you notice, all roundabouts are at major crossroad or entrances into the city.
Yeah, we've just started getting them here in Montana, and it's at like the main, the main thoroughfares of the city,
or entry points of the city.
Right.
I'm trying to think of like my cities here, and are you talking about the circles where you kind of have to go? I mean the
right. You have to slow down and go around. See, that way you can't just blow through it.
And one other thing too, in the center of them, they always put. It's kind of like a big tank. I think they put them in there supposedly to hold water, but it could be very easily made into a bunker.
Yeah.
So here's the one thing that I, as far as that goes, right? The how they bought all the bulletproof glass and then the foldable checkpoints. They're basically like pre-manufactured checkpoints. They're walls with plexiglass. How they're described in the order, in how much money they spent. This was the same time that Homeland Security picked up all those bullets. Homeland Security picked up. Get this. Do you guys remember this? They picked up enough bullets. It was like 1.7 billion bullets or whatever. It was enough bullets that basically they used less bullets in 20 years of conflict in the Middle East wars. So they bought more than that, what you would use during a 20-year war, in just one foul purchase. For what? That's what really freaks me out, and I think a lot of people are kind of freaked out about that. Most people, when you talk about that, they go, "Oh, he's a nutter. He's a tinfoil hat." If you see what we've been reading over the last few years, you guys get it. I guess Roy Jr., Roy Sr.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally understand that. Absolutely. And I think this document should open a lot of people's eyes. Oh, man, I almost forgot about that. The same son, after he got out of the Army, he was required to do 3 years in the Army National Guard. And they had a huge training exercise, and this was in 2015. They brought the ones from Montana, and they had them go to Idaho. And they gave everyone all of the people there, they handed each one of them a survey that asked them if they would obey orders from a superior officer to U.S. citizens, and would they be willing to confiscate weapons? And he said his platoon absolutely refused to do it. But I mean, this is the place where we're at. I'd like to one more thing.
What he's saying though is completely 100% true about the survey that says if you were ordered to take there was the one that we heard about and directly from soldiers. There was tests, though. Some people say that there were tests all the way back to prior days, that it was a test to basically ask you, if you were asked to take weapons away from Americans, would you comply or would you resist that order? And a lot of people didn't do it. So that's where a lot of the people I've heard that say, oh, no, we'll be fine if something like that happens because our guys won't follow those orders. Did you ever hear about the results of those surveys? Like how many people said yes?
He said
he
that
refused.
90% of his, just period refused. I don't know. I do know I talked to a soldier out here who was real young, like 18, and he's like, yeah, if I was ordered to, sure I would. That's why, remember, they had that cleansing of flag officers and high-ranking officers under the past administration to get I
remember that. He fired a bunch of generals, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Everybody underneath.
Right, yeah, like right, just like in Benghazi, that was the first time that a captain of a aircraft carrier was actually, detained by his second in command because he was going to buck orders and send air support for the embassy over there in Benghazi. Same thing with the other guy. And so it's so scary at how fast our rights are being torn away bit by bit, just like what's going on in Virginia. I mean, that should scare everybody right now.
I don't think most people realize how serious it is. It's literally like peeing on our Constitution.
Exactly. Tearing it apart bit by bit. And people have been very restrained, but there's going to come a point when, I guess last week, the general of the Virginia National Guard actually refused because the governor had said, well, we'll have the National Guard go door to door and do confiscations. Well, the general came out last week and said, no, that's unconstitutional. We won't do it. So then he doubled down and said, well, we'll just have checkpoints where we'll pull people over and, oh, Mr. Smith, we see that you didn't turn in a gun that you bought back in blah, 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 and they'll arrest him right there. And he actually asked that $250,000 be added onto their budget for incarceration of gun owners. And you talked about, I think a few days ago, about the United Nations actually advertising for disarmament and demobilization officers, which is true.
In New York.
So that's his choice, is to bring those guys in.
And that's where they're training, and then they can bring it in. And if you realize, there's been several places in the United States that the UN has actually taken over several buildings, and people have gotten video of this, and now it's leaked out that they have actually, that is no longer the United States. When they take over a building, it is international ground. It is not part of the United States for the time that they take it over. It's, what do they call
that?
Our
embassies.
Yeah, exactly.
Like our embassies are sovereign soil, so when they do something like that, it becomes their sovereign soil, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like the U.S. Embassy is U.S. What they just did in Baghdad, if you send a rocket at that's sending a rocket at us, not at Baghdad. That's literally our soil in Baghdad. Same with their embassy over here.
Correct.
Again, that's why you have a safe
Correct.
place. Like that's why what's his face? Gosh. WikiLeaks, Assange, he was able to go into those embassies. He was protected essentially by those embassies for a while there, because they were separate from that country. So anyways, we went over time, but there's two of you, so I gave you and Roy Jr. 5 minutes. Thank you guys for calling in.
Could I just say one more thing, please?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
always give you a chance to. Is there one more thing you want to say before you go?
Thank you. Yes, sir. And then Boo wants to say one quick thing. The Declaration of Independence, I'd just like to read a couple of lines. It says, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably to the same object evinces, a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security.
And one other thing, for all you World War II guys who are really interested in it, if you look at the blueprints, how this document, it's almost identical to the concentration camps in Germany. And just remember, everybody said that couldn't happen in Germany.
Yeah. Well, people don't know the history. If they look,
they
said it was absolutely impossible for that. They said, no, that would never happen. It happened.
You know, that's true. I have talked to several people that are very high in banking, and only one said, yeah, I think you're right about the economy. The other three, the only answer they could give me is, that can't happen here. And I'd say, why? Because this is the United States. That was their only reasoning. Same thing the Jews said in Germany.
And there were a lot of very wealthy people there, too. No, great point. Absolutely. I don't think people know. They were the elites in those countries.
That's true.
Yeah.
They said, we're too wealthy. It won't happen to us.
And all of their gold, all of their diamonds, all of their jewels, everything got taken. So thank you so much for calling in, Roy and Roy Jr. Roy Sr. and Roy Jr. You have a blessed night, okay?
Thank you. You have a good night too, brother, man.
All right.
Bye.
You too. Hopefully they don't get me knocked. If you see a laser right here, let me know, please. Like, really quick. That document is gigantic, by the way. Really quite amazing. If you look at this document right here, it's called the U.S. Army Internment Resettlement PDF. So, now it has been leaked out to the public. So, what is that? Dex, do you know what that is called? Freedom of press? Like, if this is something that's already been released, then we can't exactly get in trouble for it, right?
Yeah, I found that. So I think we're covered. Somebody else put it out there.
Okay.
We're linking from there. So we're
okay. Because freedom of press allows us to do different things. We are careful about that kind of thing. We would always send you to the link. But again, this kind of stuff can get you in trouble. Luckily, this is out and is available out there. That doesn't take anything away from it, too. This is the kind of stuff we have been finding more and more, and people are sending us more and more. This is why I love doing this show, because we never know what people are going to send in. All right, and then if you guys would like to support us and help yourself health-wise, if you've never done earthing, it is something you can do for absolutely free. Go stand out on your yard barefoot. It sounds like you're like, what? No, what are you talking about? If you've ever done it or know anything about it, it is actually, they have 25 plus medical studies that prove that when us humans are grounded to the earth, it actually makes everything in our body flow. It reduces inflammation. Again, you can of course stand outside all day, but not all of us have the ability to just stand outside barefoot. If you want to do this at night, that's what I do. I actually get the bed mat and I put it on my bed. It is awesome. I sleep better. I wake up better. My stomach stuff has gotten better. It's just amazing. So again, go to marfugelnews.com/earthing. You can actually watch the full movie about this and about this kind of movement. It's been around for a long time. There's tons of Fugel family members that have been doing this for years and years, and they swear by it. They live by it. Again, Amy Smart, Muriel Hemingway, Deepak Chopra. There's tons of celebrities that are in the video that do it, but really the main point is this does work, and when you actually do it, you'll tell 10 other people, and it helps the channel. So appreciate it. Go check it out at marfugelnews.com/earthing.
You want to know what's going on? What's really going on when it happens? Go to marfugelnews.com and get Marfugel alerts along with a Discord invitation where you can find your local state group and get together with the Fugel fam. You'll find fast friends where you'll share prep and intel, and there's even special groups for former and current military. But don't try and steal the valor of those who have really served. It won't go well for you. The Marfugel fam is waiting for you.